sure how long that takes. Considering where we are, I think it might take a few days. So there's a little bit of extra info for you guys there. Let me share my screen. Okay. So today we're going to talk about Google Analytics and play from current slide. Okay, can we see that? Or are you still seeing me?
No, we can see clearly. Thanks, Renato.
Okay, awesome. So just a bit of a heads up. Although Tracy said this is quite easy, it's easy when you understand it. Today is going to be, there's going to be a lot of information. I don't know if we're going to have time to run through anything like a demo or anything like that. There's a truckload of information that I'm going to talk about today on Google Analytics. You can get a hell of a lot out of it. Last week we spoke about Google Search Console, and I mentioned in Search Console that you can plug it into Google Analytics, and this tool will give you a full view of how people are joining you, visiting you, interacting with your website, your social media, your adverts, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of information I want to cover today about the product, and I'll kind of give you a bit of a walkthrough on how to set it up. I've shared all this information with Tracy, who will share it with you guys after the event. And then there's also a glossary which I've shared with Tracy, which kind of explains, what all the terms are in Google Analytics to help you kind of get through the stuff when you start setting it up for yourself. Okay, so let's get into it. So Google Analytics, again, it's one of the tools that Google offers to anybody and everybody for free. And basically, it tracks and reports on all your website traffic. And it gives you kind of a bit of intelligence on what's happening on your website, where people are coming from, what they're looking at your website on. So is it mobile, a desktop, or a tablet? And all these things can help you prepare your digital footprint for the people that you're targeting. So obviously Google's been around for a long time. They started out in 2005, and they've grown astronomically. They're one of the biggest platforms used in this space. They are one of the free platforms that's available for anybody to kind of manage and look after their website and get in front of their customers the right way. So there's obviously two versions. The version I'm talking about is the free version. There's another version which has got a lot more functionality, and it's kind of aimed at corporate big companies, and it allows them to obviously dig into things a lot deeper. Google allows you to create a plethora of profiles. Not that you guys will probably use it, but somebody like me, we help people manage their analytics. We're able to pull their profiles into ours, so we can manage up to 50 different profiles in our account. So I mean, we can go up to 1,250 profiles if we like. So Google Analytics is installed on, it's probably bigger than that now, 30 million websites around the world. Most of these websites are managed and, tracked with Google Analytics. WordPress is the most common content management system used in the world with Google Analytics. And I'll talk about how you can potentially get Google Analytics on your website through WordPress. And there's a few ways of doing that. I'll cross that a little bit later. And then that's just WordPress again. So if you look at the numbers over here, trying to sift through all this kind of information on your own or finding this information is going to be difficult. This is where Google Analytics helps. You reach the people that you want by managing and viewing, the tracking results of your website through various means. So there's plugins for various websites. There's other tools that plug into analytics and present you with a different view, which is a little bit more user-friendly. So there's a tool called Yoast and Jetpack Admin, which you can plug into your WordPress site, and it kind of gives you a different view, but it pulls information from Google Analytics. So it's nice, it's versatile, it plugs in everywhere, it's supported everywhere. It's kind of like, it's the standard, the bespoke standard for analytics on the web. So if we have a look at the top tools in the world, as you can see, Google is the leader amongst others. But in saying that, all of these tools have their place. So if you're having a look on the diagram or the bar chart, or whatever you want to call it, on the right-hand side, it kind of shows you where these tools kind of fit. So the lower right-hand side shows, what is mostly used just to track the average, traffic ranking on their website. And then the upper left-hand side is obviously used by fewer sites, but it tracks a lot more information on websites that have got a lot more traffic. So Google is nicely placed in the middle, and it's a great place to start analyzing your footprint online, and then planning your digital marketing strategy from there to meet the right customers. So again, just shows you a view of Google Analytics, and this is identified by Alexa. I don't know if you know what Alexa is. It's a tool that's offered by Amazon, which gives you a different view of analytics, but from other parts of the world. In South Africa, majority of people use Google. I mean, that's more than 90% of people use Google search, and the Google tools to do various things. So looking for products, doing research, tracking your website. But in the rest of the world, Alexa is something that people use. Bing is another product that people use, but that's focused on the market that they work in, because it's more focused around the US's and the Europes, whereas for now, South Africa is very Google focused and Google centric. So I'm going to quickly walk you through how to set up Google Analytics if you're doing this for the first time. As I said, this will be shared with you guys. There's a link over there to take you to Google Analytics directly. These are the kind of screens you'll see initially. So if you've been following since the beginning, which was 3 weeks ago, where we started off with Google My Business, you would have set up your Gmail account for Google My Business, which should be different to your personal account. You can use that same account to sign up and register with Google Analytics. As you obviously go through the process, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of information about you and your website. Obviously, the more detail you give it, the better the tool will work. It also asks you if you're willing to share data. So what's nice about if you do share the data, as they recommend you, they prompt you throughout the month on your ads, and they give you a bit of insight on your website, and they kind of tell you, we need to do this, we need to do that, this is industry standard, your website is lacking over here for a little bit, and yes, click on the information icon, and it'll give you a kind of walkthrough on how to fix any problems or make your site better, so they can help you present it when people are searching. So fill in all the details here. Most of the time, I mean, we're all going to start off with a website. I don't know if anybody's got a mobile app at the moment. Obviously, you set up Google Analytics differently, but initially set it up for a website. You can always go and add the mobile portion later. That's nice. That's one of the nice things about Google. It's quite flexible from that perspective. This is where the tricky part starts. So once you've created your profile, it gives you a tag that it wants you to put into your website. And there's a whole bunch of ways to do that. So what this tag basically does is it measures traffic to and from your website. And it allows Google to see where people are coming from and then present you the information. So once you've gone through the process, they will give you a tracking code. It also depends on how you set up your profile. That tracking code may not be available instantaneously. It might take a day or two to get that code. But if you think you're proficient enough, you can copy that code and stick it into your website. I'll show you how. or you can email this code to your web developer and they can do the installation for you on whichever platform that you're working on. So I'm going to walk through how the code can be installed. There's a couple of different ways. I'm going to talk about, I think there's 2 or 3 here. So the first way is, this is probably how a developer would do it. This is a WordPress site we're talking about. I don't know if you recognize the dashboards, but if you go log into the back end of your WordPress website, you go to the appearance editor, it will present you with all the coded sheets that your website is built on. The one that you're going to be looking for is called the header.php. So Google, what they actually want is you to take the code and paste it onto every single page. The way WordPress is set up, every single page is presented with a header. And that header has got a little bit of information about what your website is and how your menu looks and all that kind of stuff. And the same header is presented across every single page. So what's nice about WordPress is you just have to put it into one place. You don't have to go to every single page. So you'd edit that, the header.php file, you paste the code into that, save it, and then you're done. It'll take a couple of days, and then Google will start gathering information from your website, traffic and all that, and presenting you with information. Okay, so I'm not gonna, so basically this kind of tells you where to stick it in the header. So between the head tags, and then once you're done, you can go back to Google Analytics and you can send test traffic, and it'll tell you if you've installed the code correctly or not. Thereafter, it takes 12 to 24 hours to kind of start gathering data, depending on how busy your website is and how much traffic you get. So that's WordPress, doing it as a developer would. So pasting the code, that's kind of the quickest, it's the simplest way. But if you're not that technically au fait and you rather want to do it a simpler way, you can use plugins, and there's a couple of plugins. I'm talking here about Monster Insights, which is quite a great plugin. It does a fair amount for you. But I'd also like to talk about this plugin that Google has launched quite recently. It's called Google Site. Oops, let me go back. It's called the Google Site plugin, which makes it even easier than Monster Insights. So Google Sites, once you've installed the app, you go into the tool, the menu side, click on the Google Sites. It then says to you, okay, cool. Thanks for installing the app. Please log into Google. Then you're going to use your Gmail login details, and then once it's authenticated you, it will start connecting all of your stuff to Google and to your website. So it'll set up Google Analytics. It'll do the Search Console. If you've got Google AdSense set up, it'll pull that in, and whatever else you kind of got from Google, it pulls it into this one little plugin, and then it presents the data that you see in Google in a very simple form inside your website. So you can set your website up so every time you log in, you present it with this page that kind of gives you a high-level overview of what's happening on your website. It's not going to give you the same amount of information that you get from Google Analytics, so it is good to always go back and check Google Analytics every so often. So this is just the rest of the Monster Insights setup. I mean, if you want to use that, it's just a second plugin. I would suggest go for Google Sites rather than the Monster Insights, because it's so much easier. Google has made it really, really easy to use. Okay. So there's obviously, if you're asked by Monster Insights, you're going to be asked for your tracking ID, which is basically that UA code. And that's how it connects your website through Monster Insights, where Google Sites will just pull that all in for you and present that information on that home panel, if you like, when you log into your website. Okay, so there's a few extra things that you can set up on Google Analytics, and this is where I've provided the glossary document for you guys to kind of go through and kind of explain what all these things mean. So while if you want to set additional things up, how to change the reporting, all the terms are available in this PDF I've sent. That'll help you through setting up and getting the best out of Google Analytics that you can. So this is just setting up and kind of tracking on what your visitors look like, where they're coming from, asking you a few things about where you are, where you're based, where's your traffic, where do you think your traffic's coming from, and you can set up a view specifically relating to that. So in this case, we're talking about user tracking. It kind of tells you, like I said earlier, which device. It tells you what kind of browser they're using, so you can kind of see in the back end of any website with HTML, PHP, and any kind of coding language, there's different code that works better on different browsers. So when you see the kind of browser that people are using, you can make sure that your developer uses the code correctly so that you are presented on that browser very well or properly. So if your visitors are coming from, let's say, Microsoft Edge quite regularly, you can make sure that your website is using the right code to be fully presented properly to people visiting on Microsoft Edge. So this is talking about queries, and it helps you kind of manage the way you see things in your report. So you can kind of tell Google Analytics, I want to track this ad, which I'm now running in Google Ads, and that ad has got various details related to it. So it'll have a code or a reference or a description, which you can kind of add into your query parameters. You can kind of tell Google, hang on, in this section, I want to see, where people are coming from. Are they coming from a mobile device? Are they coming from a web browser on a PC? Or are they coming through a tablet? And you can add different strings or parameters to your view. And as you use Google Analytics, you'll start digging in deeper and adding more and more parameters to your view. This is very important. It's setting up goals. So a goal is somebody making a call from a website. From a mobile phone. So in Google My Business, you've already got a little button on your ad, on your page. If somebody searches for your business by name and the profile is presented, it already has a call me button or a get directions on a map. You can tell Google that's not already presented to you, but you can tell Analytics, I want to track the same thing. If I'm running an ad that says, I want somebody to phone me, I want Google to track that process, and that process is view my ad, click on my ad, click the call me button. And when that's achieved, that's my goal. That's goal number one. And there's a plethora of things you can set up as goals. So you could set up a goal where you want to measure how many times people go to a certain page and fill in the contact form, or fill in the newsletter application, or scroll down to a certain point in a page. So if you set these goals up and to do things, obviously, you can measure that if it's working or not. If it is working, great. If it's not working, it allows you to go back to your website and say, well, my goal is 70% of the way down to the page. People are only scrolling the first 30%. Maybe I should move that, whatever that end point is, a little bit higher on my page. So if you've got, for example, a application form or a download free PDF, but fill in the details or whatever it is, and it's further down on the page, you will now know that if you move it up to the first 30% of the page, you're going to get more interactions, and you can start measuring it again with that specific goal. So it's quite important that you set up goals. Google in Analytics on the home page will present you with a little panel that says how many times you've achieved your goals and how many goals were achieved, and they'll kind of like highlight them to say, goal one, sign up for newsletter was clicked 5, 10, 50, whatever amount of times, and it'll give you like a scaling list. So this is basically the walkthrough on how to set up a new goal. As you can see on the right-hand side, what are the options, that you have in a goal? And obviously you can change that as you work through the process. There's obviously a template. So what's nice is there's people out there that have created templates that basically say you want people to click on a certain thing in a website, and you don't have to go through the process of setting up your own custom goal. You can use templates, or you can go through the process of clicking and selecting all the bits and pieces that you want. And then the third option is you can kind of use what, Google's experience in the industry that you're in, called a SMART goal, where they kind of help you set up your goal to achieve certain things. And then they've got a kind of like a walkthrough with less clicking that's required. That's potentially one of the easiest ways to start, is setting up a SMART goal, so you can kind of get an idea of what it is and how it works and how to set it up before you move into something more advanced like a custom goal. The same with the templates. There's people out there that have created templates. They're mostly freely available. There are a few that you pay for. And then they kind of show you, they'll have like a little video or an explanation that kind of says, this is what each field in our template means, and this is what you've got to kind of add to that field to get the best out of it. Sorry, I've just covered all of this. So obviously, under your goal category, there's revenue, so it kind of says how many times somebody's bought something on a website, if you've got an e-commerce site, or if you're selling an ebook, or if you're selling courses. Acquisition is, have you had people, where have you got people from? So you're running an ad, or you've posted something on Facebook, you've acquired that new traffic from Facebook, and you can set up that kind of goal. Say, this is what I wanted people to do, and then it allows you to kind of set or change or test an ad or a post and see if you get the desired outcome. An inquiry is, fill in a form, sign up to our newsletter, whatever the case is. You can measure that on your website. And then engagement is, like I mentioned earlier, if you've got a page with a whole bunch of writing on it, a few pictures, and there's a video, and you want people to click on the video, you can measure if that's actually working. And then obviously decide if the video is in the right place or not. So that's that. And I've spoken about the other two. Okay, let's talk about goal description. So obviously this is for you to better understand, what the goal is and why it's there. And it's kind of a way that Google presents the information to you, and in a way that you understand. So it must be, easy for you to understand. And I mean, if you're going to have different goals doing similar things on different parts of your website, make sure you label it accordingly. So let's call it a newsletter sign up on my about page, or newsletter sign up on my homepage. So, they measure different things on different pages. So you can kind of see what's working, what's not working, and allows you to plan and change things accordingly. The duration of a goal is, if you think about an advert that comes on, you want to present the ad on day one, and then a week later, you want people to come and click through and buy something. So this is what they're talking about, the duration. So you can set up your goal as part of the process to say that once people have visited my website, I'm expecting them to come back within 7 days, whatever it is, 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, and there's obviously different options you can click to come back and do this, whatever the goal is measuring. The other goal is, part of the goal is the pages or screens per session. So you want to measure how many times somebody comes to your website, how long they spend on the page, and how many times they click through. So one very important thing about setting up your website is, and Google asks for this all the time, if you look at Search Console, it'll tell you to have internal links on your pages. So for example, on your homepage, you'll have a link to your services page. And then on your services page, you'll have a link to the service options that you have, and potentially any products that you sell. And those will open up a page specifically about that. And this part of the goal will help you see if people are actually going through to all of those pages that you want them to go through. And then the event is basically tells you, you know, I want somebody to watch a video, and did they do that? And then obviously the results will kind of tell you, yes, they didn't. You've had 100 visitors today and only 3 people watched the video. You've had 100 visitors today and they didn't scroll through the whole page, so they didn't get to see the video. Again, it'll help you plan changes to get the best results on your website. So the details that you want over here is obviously, you know, if somebody, for example, comes to your website and buys something, once they've gone through the whole cart process where they've added something to the cart, then gone to the cart, filled in their details, logged in, checked out, and then obviously paid for it. On any website, if you've done any online shopping or if you've got an online store, you usually present the customer with a page to say, thank you very much, order's been processed, here's your order number, whatever it is. So you can reference that page, which basically says you've closed this many deals in this period. So you can track certain things on your website and see if the right things are being presented in your goal to the people, which obviously helps you do a lot of things. So in the sale process, you know, you'll see that people add the items to the cart, but they never get further than that. It allows you to kind of sit back and think, why is that? Is it too complex? Is it too simple? Is there not enough information on the website at that point? And then you can go and adjust the settings in the back of your website for that. If they get, you know, as the process goes through, at each point, you can kind of see with this analytics process and setting up this destination where people are stopping and not getting, you know, to the end of the sale. And that helps you plan things better, make things easier, make things more intuitive and simpler for your visitors and your visitors and customers to actually close the sale. So I touched on this earlier about the duration. So if you've chosen the duration for your goal type, it allows you to kind of set it up. You know, how long do I have to wait for this goal to be achieved? So if you're measuring how long it takes somebody to place something into their cart to the time that they've paid, and you send the thank you message, that process should, in essence, take you 3 minutes, for example. If it's taking people longer than that, then you can go back, as I said, and review your process to see if you've got the right things in the right place, if it's easy to use, etc. If you've chosen the type pages or screens per session, you can obviously specify how many pages you want to monitor, how many times. I mean, if you've got a website that's 3 pages, you don't put a number in here that says 10 or 100. Obviously, you want to see people go and see all 3 of your pages on your website. If you've got 1,000 pages on your website, a single visitor is not going to have a look at all 1,000 pages. So you've got to decide, you know, what the number is and specify how many pages you want people to see. And again, it's the part of the process. If you set up your website to get a person to land on the home page, and on the home page it says these are our products and services, or this is a special we're running right now, if you wanted to click on that first, and then go to the product and then put the product in the cart. I mean, that's probably 3 or 4 pages that you want to monitor for this specific goal. And you obviously set it up accordingly. And then you can measure for certain things, you know, what are the actions you want them to you want to measure, what are the categories? So is it new product, add new product, read about the product, see a new post, etc. And what is the action you wanted to take on that process? And then obviously you can tell them what it is that you're tracking. So like a subscribe button would be the label, or a pay now would be the label, or read more is the label. And I just want to have a look at the chat before we move on. Thank you, Andrew.
Nothing yet. Thanks, Andrew. Any questions?
Yeah. Not yet. Okay, cool.
Not yet.
I know this is a lot to digest. As I said, this is going to be handed out, so you can follow this through I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of writings, and it's a step-by-step guide to make things a lot easier for you, so you can understand what's going on. Okay. So once you're up and running and you've had your account set up and you've set up your goals and things like that, this will basically just describe, how to use the tool, how to navigate the tool, how to work around it. So this image you see at the bottom here it's changed a little bit. Those buttons are now sitting on the left-hand side in a menu bar, which is kind of similar to all the other tools that Google has offered. And there's various things you can click on and view. So you can drill down. I mean, initially you're on the home page, you're presented with a general view of what's happening on your website, how much traffic you've got. You can change that to say, well, how much traffic have I received in the last 7 days in comparison to the 7 days before that, or 30 days, or not, whatever it is. What's nice is on each of those sections, there's a little button you can click on it, and you can dig down even further into that information. So if you want to see how many people have visited, how long they've spent on your website, there's talk about bounce rate. So bounce rate is basically, it says, people have come to your website and they've stuck around for 10 seconds and then left, or they've stuck around for 2 minutes and then left. And you can this allows you to measure, let's say, for example, you've written a blog and you want people to read it, and it's a 3-minute read. You can kind of see if people have actually read the entire blog through the bounce rate. And then obviously goal conversion rate is I showed you how to set up the goals. It will kind of go, you can kind of drill down into each goal to see how many times you've actually achieved your goal, and then, decide what you want to do with this information on your website thereafter. Andrew, just to answer your question, no, it is not just for sites that want to sell products. So I think the crux of digital marketing as a whole is you want to reach your target audience, to do whatever you wanting them to do. So this is a tool to help you measure that. So I mean, if you want to talk about a blogger, a person that writes blogs all the time, and these people monetize their blogs by putting adverts on their pages to go and buy products or to test products or whatever the case is. They can measure through analytics how many people are coming to their website, how many people are going through to the blogs, and how many people are actually clicking on those ads. As a blogger, people generally should become an affiliate for another company, where they will put a link with a special code on it that basically says, if somebody comes to my website and clicks on that link, I will earn money if that person buys that, whatever that product is. It allows the blogger to measure how people are actually coming onto their website and where they're going, if they're clicking in the right places, if they're spending enough time. Like I said earlier, if you've got a 3-minute read, you can measure if people are actually reading the full article or not. And then again, it helps you determine that your audience that you're writing to likes this content or doesn't like the content, or there's too much reading or too much writing, or whatever the case is. This tool helps you get in front of the right people at the right time, with the right information, with the right look and feel. I mean, a website, if you land on a website and ads pop up from everywhere, you've got things popping up at you to fill in details, and most people don't like that, and they will just leave. So you can, with this tool, you can measure the bounce rate. So you see people land on your website, all of a sudden they present it within 3 seconds with a whole bunch of pop-ups and then leave. You can kind of use this tool to go back and say, okay, well, people don't like that, let me stop that. And then you run that for another 3, 4, 5 days. You'll notice that people will now start spending a little bit more time on your website because they're not being annoyed by, you know, whatever there was. So no, it's not just about selling products. It's about measuring things on your website, measuring things on your ads, measuring traffic, finding details about where people are coming from, and then making sure that whatever you're offering or selling or presenting to your visitors, a website in this example, is set up for that device, as I mentioned earlier. So it's not just about selling. I'm using selling as an example because we've all gone to Takealot and bought stuff, or we've bought something online, and the process is kind of easily understandable, and you can measure that to make sure that it's easy for customers to kind of get through that process. I was just using it as an example, but it's not limited to that. So I touched on it a little bit earlier about the reporting tab. So this gives you an overview of who your audience is, where they're coming from, how many times they're visiting, and you can see a whole bunch of information about, you know, your audience on the dashboard. Okay, so there's a couple of dashboards available to you. So the first one is the generic one that Google offers, which has got, you know, the basics. It kind of gives you, I mean, you can, if you look on the page on the right, the image, you can kind of look at sessions versus average session time, and those little drop-down boxes have got a lot of things and options available in there to change what you're viewing. And you can do comparisons and things like that. That's the basic vanilla flavor of Google Analytics. And there's a lot of things you can dig into. You can change a little bit of the look and feel of your dashboard. As I mentioned, there's a couple of options. So you can create your own dashboard to show you what you want to see. Or you can create a dashboard, or you can just use the standard Google dashboard. Again, there's other people that create dashboards. They create a template, and you can pull in that template specific to what you're doing from a business, from a website perspective. And they've got all the details already set up. A lot of these guys will have the goals already set up. So if you download their dashboard, it's a very simple installation. It will automatically create goals for you. It will automatically create tracking facilities. It will automatically create the reports showing you the goals that it creates, the tracking that it, you know, follows, and it's still flexible, so you can kind of tweak it a little bit more to make it yours, if you like. And then you can, once you've saved the dashboard, downloaded it, created it, whatever you like, it will create a shortcut for you so that every time you log in, you can set it up to present that dashboard to you only, or you can set it up, you can kind of click on the link to the shortcut of whatever dashboard you've set up for yourself. So nice and flexible. So intelligence events. So I was talking about how people do things on your page. You know, what are the different things that you'd like them to achieve, where you'd like them to go from a specific place on your website or from externally. So that you can set these events up, or the tracking of these events, to send you an alert to say, you know, somebody's just logged onto your website and they're looking at this product that you're trying to push. It's got you're running a promo on it, or whatever the case is, and it'll allow you to kind of live go onto the website, see who the person is. Potentially, if you've got a chatbot, you can start interacting with the person there and then live on your website. You've also got real-time reports. So that shows you who's on your website right now, how many people you've got, where they've come from, what they're looking at. What's nice about that is you can kind of, as I said, if you've got a chatbot or a facility to chat with people on your website, you can quickly log onto that page and you can go say, hi, how can I help? You know, we're running this promo. I see you looking at this product. Would you be interested in something else, or can I help you get the product to into the cart? Or, you know, would you like to download the PDF. We've got a free PDF down the bottom of the page. To scroll down, there's the link, and you can download it. So it allows you to do some very nice, clever things. And then the audience report, obviously this is one of the most important. It basically gives you an overview of who's visited your website, where they've come from, and that could be from a demographic perspective. So you can kind of see, which country people are coming from. You can drill down to city that people are visiting from. You can drill to, the kind of gender, the kind of age. There's obviously age gates, so it'll be like 18 to 25, 26 to 30, etc. This audience report will give you all of that information. You can drill down to see what kind of operating system they use. So is it Windows? Is it Mac? What version of Windows? You can see their service providers that they're coming from. Is it an AFI host, or is it a domains, or is it something like that? Access. So it gives you a lot of information. And again, this also helps you make sure that you're following and achieving your digital marketing goals. So if there's a specific type of audience you want to reach, this audience overview will kind of help you determine whether that's what you're doing is right. So if you wanted to meet, if you're targeting the age group 18 to 25, women only, in Johannesburg between these certain hours, this audience report will help you see if you're achieving that, and then obviously tweak accordingly. So what's nice about the report is, as you can see, there's little dots in the line at the top of the bar that runs, the bar that runs across the page. You can put your mouse on it and drag it across, and it'll tell you what happened on that day. So from a sessions perspective, in this example, if you put your mouse cursor on the dot, it'll tell you, in this example, May 17, 2015, you had 295 people on your 295 sessions on your website. So people visited 295 times in that day. If you move to things like page views, obviously you can change that, you can add it, you can click on it to drill deeper. There's in part of the audience report, there's I can't think of the name now, but there's a view where you can kind of see where people have landed on. So where did they come from? So they came from Facebook and they landed on my homepage, and you can kind of see their journey on your website. So they started on the homepage, then they went to About Us, and then from About Us they went to Products, and they clicked on the following products. So, and it's all interactive, and you can click and dig in deeper and find out more about what happened on the day, on the time, on the place, where they've come from, and it helps you determine, who are these people, and are they the audience that I'm trying to address and kind of, talk to. So this is nice. The acquisition reports, where it basically tells you where people have come from. So if you're doing a whole bunch of things on Twitter, and you're doing a whole bunch of things on LinkedIn, and a couple of things on Instagram and Pinterest, whatever the case is, this report tells you, you've had people coming from a social perspective, people have found you through doing a search on Google. If you've got any backlinks on your website, whether they've been recommended as a referral from that website. Did you send out an email and somebody clicks on the link in your signature? So you can kind of see where people are coming from. And this also helps you, again, plan, are you doing the right things from a digital marketing perspective? Are you focusing on the right audience, on the right channels? This example over here shows that organic search is where most people are finding this website, which is fantastic because that's for free. So people are coming to your website through the SEO you've set up on your website correctly. You're writing blogs, you've got the right descriptions on your products, whatever the case is, and they're finding you organically by doing a bit of research on Google search. So very nice tool to kind of use and monitor and make sure that you're seeing the right traffic and you're getting it from the right places. And it also helps you decide, hang on, I'm doing a truckload on Facebook, but I'm getting no traffic from it. Okay, it's not working for me. Maybe I should change my view and change my focus to something else. So this is the behavior report is, as I mentioned earlier, what people are doing on your website. If you've got the right rules, goals set up, you can kind of see how far people are scrolling on your page. Are they landing on the pages you want them to? Are they reading the blog completely that you want them to? Are they clicking on the call to actions that you set up on your pages? And again, it helps you plan to get it right and tweak your website or whatever the case is. So I mentioned earlier, a blogger would become an affiliate of a company. Google has an affiliate program called AdSense. So basically, I mean, we've all seen Google ads. You've seen them on YouTube videos. You've seen them on websites where an ad pops up on like a Takealot or a newspaper website. So if you've got AdSense set up on your website, which is offering space for advertisers to advertise, you can, through this reporting, kind of see if people are actually going and clicking on those ads. And again, to help you determine, is it in the right spot? Is it too far down the page? Is it on the right-hand side where it should be on the left? Is it at the top of the page where it should be at the bottom? So from a behavior report, it'll help you determine you're doing the right things on your page. This is the one report I think most of us will look at more often. So this is basically just telling us, are we doing the right things? Are we getting people to do what we want them to do on our website? Are they converting? Are people buying the products, putting them in the cart, and then paying for them? Are people downloading the free document or ebook or whatever it is that we're giving away? But they're filling in their details correctly and downloading the PDF. Are our funnels working? Are we getting people from the right places to do the right things and achieving the goals that we set up? Like fill in the newsletter email address or complete this form on this page. Are we doing it right? The conversion report kind of shows you, yes, you are, no, you're not. And it helps you to tweak the process that people are following to achieve that goal. So it helps you make it easier, more simple, or if people are getting there really fast, which is a great thing, maybe you want to add a step in there to say, well, thanks for looking at this product, but we've got an alternative. So there's a new goal, have a look at this rather, or whatever the case is. So conversion report kind of tells you, are you achieving, are the people doing what you're wanting them to do on your website? Is your website making it easy for your visitors to achieve what you want them to do? So this is just gives you the ability to customize what you see, how you see it. From a reporting perspective, it allows you to drill down into specific things. So if you want to track traffic from a mobile device, or if you want to track traffic from Internet Explorer or Safari on a macOS device, you can create your own page view, your own report view, and you can tell it what you want to see. Users on versus somebody coming in from another browser. You can compare one browser to another. You can compare a mobile device to a tablet device, whatever you like. So it allows you to kind of set up the report the way you want to see it, so that you understand what you're doing on your website or whatever your goals are. The admin tab there's a lot of information here. If you have the time, go through it all. This is basically just how your account is set up, but it gives you the ability to kind of add users to your Google Analytics account. So if you wanted to hire somebody like me to help you with analytics, you could assign me a role, and you can determine, you know, is it an admin role, is it a user role, is it an SEO admin role, whatever the case is. If you've got somebody that works for you, you know, same thing. You don't have to give admin role. You can change it. You can dumb it down a little bit so they don't see everything. It allows you to put filters on your views. So obviously to make it comfortable and easy for you to read. If we go to the property side, it's the property is your website, for example. It allows you to go change the settings. So on the first page, the second page of you setting up, there's a couple of tick boxes saying, you know, we want to collect data. Will you help us collect data so we can present you with more information? You can go and change those settings, take things out, put things in. If you start with more than one property, let's say you've got 2 websites, they've got very similar names, you can kind of say, well, this is website 1, you can change the name of the property, etc. If you're recreating a brand new website, if you're going through the process like we are at the moment of developing a brand new website, your tracking information is available here. So that UA-code, you can come into the admin section and find that code, and then obviously give it to your web developer to add it to your new website, which is nice. So you never ever lose that information. It's always available. And then obviously if you want to link other products, AdWords is obviously the AdWords side. So if you want to start running Google Ads, you can link your Google Ads account. You can link your Search Console account, in this case AdSense, etc. On the remarketing side, if you are running ads, it allows, you know, that tab will allow you to kind of see people that have visited your website, and you can tell your current ads you don't want to visit new people, but you want to visit the people that have already visited my website and done the following. The remarketing tab will help you understand who those people are and how to target them. And on the view side, that just obviously changes the way you see things, and allows you to integrate into other external tools. So from an e-commerce perspective, if you're using a Shopify website, and how to integrate, make sure the integration is right, that your products are being seen correctly, published correctly. And then there's a few other little things to tweak your profile, as you like, on, you know, the way you see things, the way things are set up, and for you to understand what you're seeing better. So these are the various metrics that you can measure. I've touched on a lot of those. So users, you know, where they're coming from, who they are, what their age is, what their demographics, how many times people have been on your website through sessions, what pages are being viewed, how often, how many pages are being viewed in a session, how long people are actually spending time on your website, so every session duration. That also helps, you know, you calculate a bounce rate a little bit, and that also, you know, tells you, you know, if you're wanting somebody to read the blog, you know, every session duration is the metric you'll use to kind of say, well, people have landed on that page and read the blog. It's taken 3 minutes. And the average person is spending 3 to 5 minutes on that page, which is great. Or if not, you know, it allows you to adjust things. The percentage of new sessions, so it's how many new visitors have visited. So when you connect your Google Analytics account to your website, it creates a cookie that every time somebody joins or visits your website, it downloads a cookie. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of websites are doing it these days, where a little bar pops up and says, we're a website that uses cookies, and we will put this little thing on your page, then somebody describe in a lot more detail what it is, and you can kind of accept. And then it takes a little file, puts it on your machine, and every time you click on a page or move around on the website, it measures or records all that information. It then kind of also tells you, you know, where they've come from and if they visit again. So this is how you can see the percentage of new sessions. So that's how you determine if it's a new session or somebody revisiting. Sorry, Michael, So Google, Michael S. So Google said, sorry, so this is in the chat. Google said that they will activate the paid ad within a day, but it's been 2 weeks with no reply. Payment options are grayed out. Must I keep waiting for Google to approve the ad before I can advertise? There is probably something wrong with the ad. So in your ad area, you need to go and kind of click on all the options available to you to see where the problem is. So if there's something wrong with the ad, you'll probably have an exclamation mark in a circle, a little red circle next to the problem area. So you might have too much text in the ad, or your picture might have too much text on it, or you might not conform to some of the Google criteria in the ad that you're running the way you set it up. So the information you're looking for is not usually readily available. Like on a Facebook comes back to you and says there's a problem. Google doesn't always come back to you because they've got an automated system that checks your ad before a human being does. So that automated system might have flagged something. You just got to go find out where that flag is. Make sense, Michael?
Yes, except that the alert only showed me my payment options, and when I looked into try changing that, it grayed them out, didn't allow me to change them, and it said when I looked into it further that it might be grayed out not due to my fault, but because they are still reviewing it.
Oh, you mean your payment options?
Those were the only things that showed an alert next to them.
Okay, so that alert, did it say your ad's not running due to payment options?
Correct.
Not being set up properly? Oh, okay. What do you set up for your payment options? Obviously, the credit card. Is the credit card still valid? It's not expired?
Yeah. Normal credit card details, except, it could have picked up that I set it up from a different country to the currency that I asked it to be in, which is South African currency.
No, I think the currency that they're using is generally, for your reference rather than how you're going to get billed, because they will bill in dollars, and obviously the exchange rate will sort itself out. It's just a way for you to see that. Maybe after this, let's do a quick call, and maybe I can help you through that.
Thanks so much.
Okay. I'll give you my email address, and then if you can respond to that, I'll see how we can connect together through Teams or something.
Thank you, Renato. It will be in the communication to all participants afterwards as well.
Okay. So from my side, that's Google Analytics. As I mentioned, there's a glossary that'll come out from Tracy and them to give you a better idea and an easier understanding on what everything means and the terms. It's quite comprehensive. So there's that. Thank you guys for attending. I hope that was informative.
Renato, thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. And for those of you that felt that it was so much content to understand in such a